Imagine this. You wake up on a Wednesday morning, not because your alarm went off, not because you've got somewhere to be. You wake up because you're done sleeping. You make a coffee, check your portfolio, and realize your investments earned you more while you slept than most people make in a day at work. No boss, no commute, no Sunday dread, just you and your time. That's what living off index funds actually looks like. And here's the thing. In Australia, it's more achievable than almost anywhere else on the planet. Today, we're going to break down exactly how much you need invested to pull it off. Real numbers, real lifestyle comparisons, and the exact path to get there. The rule that makes this work. Before we get to the numbers, you need to understand the one concept that underpins all of this. It's called the 4% rule. Here's the simple version. If you've got a diversified investment portfolio, you can withdraw 4% of its value every year. And historically, your portfolio will last you at least 30 years. The logic is that broad market index funds have returned roughly 7 to 10% annually over long time horizons. After inflation eats 2 to 3%, you've still got enough growth to sustain a 4% withdrawal indefinitely without running the thing into the ground. Morningstar's most recent research for 2026 actually puts the conservative safe withdrawal rate at 3.9%, or slightly below 4%, for a 30-year retirement with a 90% probability of your money surviving the distance. For early retirees looking at 40 or 50-year horizons, most planners suggest dropping to 3.5% to be safe. We'll use 4% as our working number today because it's clean, it's widely understood, and it's been the benchmark for decades. Just know that the more conservative you want to be, or the younger you plan to retire, the further you dial it back. What lifestyle are you actually after? The number you need depends entirely on the life you want to live. So let's get specific. ASFA, the Association of Superannuation Funds of Australia, defines a comfortable retirement as around $54,000 a year for a single person and $77,000 for a couple. That covers private health insurance, a reliable car, eating out regularly, and a domestic holiday every year with an overseas trip every few years. A genuinely good life. A modest lifestyle covering the basics without much room to move sits around $35,000 for a single and $51,000 for a couple. You're not suffering, but you're watching things. And if you want the full version, regular overseas travel, upgrading the car, eating wherever you want, helping out the kids, you're realistically looking at $100,000 a year or more. Now, let's run the maths. If you want $35,000 a year, modest lifestyle, home brand biscuits, short domestic trips, you divide $35,000 by 0.04 and you need $875,000 invested. If you want $54,000 a year, the comfortable single benchmark, genuinely good life, you need $1.35 million. If you want $77,000 a year, the comfortable couple benchmark, both of you living well, you need $1.925 million between you. If you want $100,000 a year, real freedom, no compromises, do whatever you want, you need $2.5 million. And if you want $150,000 a year, overseas twice a year, nice car, kids' deposit sorted, you're looking at $3.75 million. Write those numbers down. Pick the life you actually want. That's your target. What you're actually investing in. So what are these index funds we keep talking about? And what kind of returns should you actually expect? Index funds are funds that simply track the market. They don't try to beat it. They just own a slice of everything. The top 200 or 300 Australian companies or thousands of companies globally. And they go up and down with the market. The beauty is the fees are tiny. We're talking 0.04% to 0.27% per year on most of the major ones. Compared to 1% or more for actively managed funds, that difference compounds massively over time. The heavy hitters in Australia right now are VAS, which tracks the ASX 300 and has $23 billion under management with a fee of just 0.07% a year. Then there's A200, which tracks the ASX 200 at an even lower 0.04%. Genuinely one of the cheapest in the world. For global exposure, VGS gives you developed markets across the US, Europe, Japan, and more. And if you want a single fund solution that does everything for you, Australian shares, global shares, some bonds, VDHG has returned an average of around 9.64% per year since inception, and DHHF gives you 100% equities across the whole world in one ticker. Historically, a broad Aussie share portfolio has returned around 7.9% annually over the long run. Global index funds tracking US and international markets have done even better in recent years. A balanced VAS and VGS combination is a reasonable working assumption at around 8% total returns annually, which is what we'll use for projections. The path to get there? Here's the part that makes people's eyes light up. You don't need to already have $1.35 million sitting in a bank account. You need time and consistency, and if you got both, compound growth does the heavy lifting. If you invest $1,000 a month into a broad index fund portfolio averaging 8% per year, you'll hit $1 million in about 23 years. Start at 27 and you're there before 50. Bump that to $1,500 a month and you hit $1 million in around 20 years.
Say no.
At $2,000 a month, you're there in roughly 17 years. Start at 30 and you're financially free before you're 50. And at $3,000 a month, which is aggressive but achievable on a decent income if you're not blowing money on stupid stuff, you crack $1 million in 13 years. The numbers work, the maths is boring and reliable and completely on your side. The only thing standing between most Australians and financial freedom is either they started late, they spend everything they earn, or they get scared and sell during a downturn. Don't do any of those three things. The bit nobody talks about, tax. Here's where Australia gets really interesting, and this is something most index fund content completely glosses over. When your index funds distribute income from dividends paid by the companies inside the fund, you're going to owe tax on that. Outside of super, at a $54,000 income level, you're looking at a tax rate of around 19% after the tax-free threshold. That's real money leaving your pocket every year. But here's the Aussie advantage. Most ASX index funds pass through franking credits, the same system that makes dividend investing so powerful here. VAS, a 200, and similar funds are largely holding fully franked Australian shares. Those franking credits offset your tax bill directly. A retiree drawing purely from index fund distributions and living off $54,000 a year could find their effective tax rate significantly reduced or even zeroed out depending on their structure. And inside superannuation in pension phase, your investment earnings and withdrawals are completely tax-free once you're over 60. That's why so many Australians building toward this kind of freedom run a dual-track strategy. Index funds inside super for tax-free compounding over the long term, and a separate portfolio outside super they can access before preservation age if they're aiming for early retirement. One fund structure worth knowing about: if you hold growth-oriented index funds like DHHF or VDHG, they pay smaller distributions because they're reinvesting more of the growth. That means lower annual tax drag while you're building. When you're ready to start drawing down, you sell units to fund your lifestyle rather than relying on distributions alone. That's called the total return approach, and it's how a lot of financially independent Australians actually do it in practice. The biggest mistake you can make: trying to time the market. It sounds obvious, but it ruins people. Markets drop. And they drop hard sometimes, 20, 30, 40% in a bad year. And the natural human instinct is to sell, get out, wait for things to settle down. The problem is that the biggest recovery days in market history happen right after the biggest crash days. If you're out of the market when that happens, you've locked in permanent losses and missed the bounce. The single best thing you can do as an index fund investor is automate your contributions, ignore the noise, and never look at your portfolio during a crash. Set up a regular transfer, buy on schedule, let the compounding run. Jack Bogle, the man who literally invented the index fund, said the secret to investing is there is no secret. Low costs, broad diversification, long time horizon. That's it. What this actually looks like in practice? Let's make it real. Say you're 32, earning $95,000 a year, investing $2,000 a month into DHHF and VGS. In 17 years, you've got roughly $1 million invested. At 4% withdrawal, you're drawing $40,000 a year. At a part pension, once you hit 67 and you're genuinely comfortable, retire at 49 and spend the years between drawing down conservatively, say 3.5%, to protect the portfolio over a potentially 50-year retirement. Or you're 45, got $200,000 already invested, and you're putting in $2,500 a month. You hit $1.5 million in about 12 years. That's comfortable single territory at 57, well before the traditional retirement age. The numbers are real. The path is real. The only question is whether you're willing to set up the direct debit and leave it alone, bringing it all together. To live off index funds in Australia, you're looking at between $875,000 for a modest lifestyle and $2.5 million for real freedom, with the comfortable middle ground sitting around $1.35 to $1.9 million, depending on whether you're single or partnered. You get there by investing consistently into low-cost index funds, VAS, A200, VGS, DHHF, VDHG, averaging 8% total return over time. You use the superannuation system for tax-free compounding on the long end, and you stay the hell out of your portfolio when the market goes sideways, which it will, multiple times, on the way to your number. Financial freedom in Australia is genuinely achievable. The system here, the franking credits, the superstructure, the tax thresholds, is actually built in your favor if you understand how to use it. The question is whether you're willing to be boring enough, consistent enough, and patient enough to let it work. If this was useful, subscribe and turn on notifications. More of this coming. See you in the next one. General information only, not personal financial advice. Talk to a licensed financial advisor before making investment decisions.